I've always been one to push my luck. But I guess I didn't realize just how far you could push before things pushed back. My name's Mike, and I've been hunting since I could hold a rifle. There's something about the thrill of it, you know? Tracking your prey, outsmarting it, and then, bang, taking it down. But I never thought it would come to this. It was late autumn, and the air was crisp, biting even. The leaves had turned a deep orange and red, covering the forest floor like a bloody carpet. Marco, my buddy from way back, had hit me up about this reserve just outside the city. It was supposed to be protected, no hunting allowed, but rules have never been our thing. The more forbidden, the better the prize, right? That's what we thought, anyway. We geared up, loaded our rifles, and set out before dawn. The forest was dense, but we knew our way around. We'd hunted in worse conditions, but something about that place felt different. There was this silence, like the whole forest was holding its breath, waiting for something. But we ignored it. We were there to hunt, not get spooked by fairy tales. We hadn't been trekking long when we found it. A massive bear print, fresh and deep. "This is it, Mike," Marco said, grinning from ear to ear. He was as excited as I was. That bear was huge, and its pelt would fetch us more than a pretty penny on the black market. We followed the tracks deeper into the woods, the sun barely making it through the thick canopy above. The deeper we went, the more uneasy I felt, but I shrugged it off. We were getting close, and nothing else mattered. But then things started to go wrong. The tracks began to disappear, like the bear had just vanished into thin air. We should have turned back, but Marco insisted we keep going. "It's close, Mike. I can feel it," he kept saying. I didn't argue. We'd come too far. That's when we heard it. A roar, loud and unnatural, echoed through the trees. It wasn't just a bear's growl. It was something else. Something much worse. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. Marco looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. We pressed on, but every step felt heavier, like the forest was pulling us down, trying to swallow us whole. The light began to fade, and soon we were in near darkness. The only sounds our own heavy breathing and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. Then we saw it, a shadow, massive and misshapen, moving between the trees. It wasn't the bear. Couldn't be. The shape was all wrong, twisted, like something had tried to put it together but failed. My stomach churned. This wasn't right. Marco raised his rifle, his hands trembling. "What the hell is that?" he whispered, but I had no answer. I wasn't sure I wanted one. We moved closer, though every instinct screamed at us to run. The shadowy figure stopped, and I swear it turned toward us. My blood ran cold. Its eyes, they were glowing, a sickly yellow that cut through the darkness. And then, just as quickly, it was gone, like it had never been there. We didn't speak after that. We just kept moving, but the forest had changed. Felt alive, like it was watching us, waiting. The trail was long gone, and with it, any sense of direction. We were lost, deep in the heart of the reserve. Then we realized something worse. Marco was almost out of bullets. We'd brought enough, or so we thought. Somehow, they were gone. All that was left was a single round in each rifle, and that wouldn't be enough for whatever was out there. Night fell, and the forest came alive with sounds we couldn't place. Low growls, shuffling leaves, and that roar again, closer this time. We set up camp, though neither of us could sleep. Kept the rifle close, but I knew it wouldn't save us. Nothing would. I don't know how long we sat there, waiting for the morning that never seemed to come. Every shadow looked like it was moving, creeping closer, watching. And then Marco started to panic. He kept saying he saw something in the darkness. Something with those yellow eyes. I didn't believe him, not at first. But then I saw them too, staring back at me from the trees. We were surrounded. Marco screamed, fired his last shot into the dark. And then they came, shadows, like the one we'd seen before, smaller, faster. They weren't animals anymore, at least not entirely. They were something else, something worse. Stitched together from different parts, bleeding, rotting. They fell on Marco before he could reload, tearing into him with claws and teeth. The sound, I'll never forget it. His screams, the wet ripping, the blood. I ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I could only hear Marco's screams echoing through the trees, mixing with the roars of those things. I ran until I couldn't breathe, until my legs gave out beneath me. When I finally stopped, I was alone. Marco was gone, but I could still hear him, screaming in my head, his voice mixing with those monstrous roars. That's when I saw it, the cave. It was dark, a gaping hole in the side of a hill, but it was shelter. I stumbled inside, hoping it would be safe, hoping the monsters wouldn't follow me. Cave went on forever, winding deeper and deeper into the earth. I didn't want to go in, but I had no choice. Outside, creatures were waiting, their yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. So I went deeper, praying that I'd find another way out. There wasn't one. There was only a dead end, and when I turned around, the entrance was gone. I was trapped, alone in the dark, with only the sound of my own heartbeat to keep me company. That's when I heard it. The roar, louder than ever, echoing through the cave. It was close, too close. And then I saw it, the shadow of that monstrous thing. The one from before, but bigger now, more twisted, more terrifying. It was made of them, of the animals we'd hunted, their bodies stitched together in a grotesque mockery of life. Blood dripped from its maw, its eyes glowing that sickly yellow. It was here for revenge, and there was no escape. I raised my rifle, but it was pointless. I only had one bullet left, and I knew it wouldn't be enough. The shadow moved closer, its form shifting, twisting, growing more horrifying with every step. It was here for me, and I knew I couldn't run. I closed my eyes, bracing for the end, but it didn't come. Not right away. The creature stopped, its breath hot and rancid on my face. I could feel it, smell the blood, the rot, and then it spoke, whispered, "Really? Your turn," it said, in a voice that was both many and one, chorus of the dead and dying. And then it lunged. The creature's jaws clamped down on my leg, pain blinding. I screamed, finally finding my voice, but it was drowned out by the roar of the beast. Dragged me toward it, claws of its many limbs digging into my flesh. I thrashed, kicked, and clawed at the ground, but it was no use. The thing was too strong, too massive. Pulled me closer, and I could see the stitched-together faces of the animals it was made of, their dead eyes staring blankly at me. They were the ones we had hunted, the ones we had killed and skinned without a second thought. And now they had come back, seeking their revenge. "Your turn." Creature hissed again, words bubbling up from somewhere deep within its monstrous form. The voices of all those animals we'd butchered echoed in the cave, each one laced with fury and pain. I knew what it was going to do. I could see it in the way the creature's jaws opened wide, in the way its eyes glowed with malicious glee. It was going to tear me apart, piece by piece, just like we had done to them. Closed my eyes, waiting for the inevitable. The pain never came. Instead, I felt the creature's hot breath on my face, its rotting stench filling my nostrils. I opened my eyes, just in time to see it lower its head, its mouth inches from mine. And then, with a sickening crunch, it bit down. The pain was indescribable, a white-hot explosion that ripped through my body. My vision blurred, and I could feel the blood pouring from the wound, warm and sticky. Creature let out a guttural roar, its triumph echoing through the cave, and then everything went black. But I didn't die. Not right away. I could feel my body being dragged deeper into the cave, creature's claws slicing into my flesh as it pulled me apart. My screams were lost in the darkness, drowned out by the sounds of tearing flesh and breaking bones. And then mercifully, everything went numb. The pain faded, replaced by a cold emptiness that spread through my entire body. I was dying, and I knew it. But before the darkness took me completely, I heard the creature's voice one last time. "Your turn," whispered, and then I was gone. When I woke up, I was back at the mouth of the cave, but I wasn't the same. My body was twisted, mangled, stitched together like the creature that had taken me. I could feel the stitches pulling at my skin, the blood still fresh and wet. I looked down at my hands, but they weren't mine anymore. They were claws, covered in fur and scales, grotesque mix of the animals we had killed. I was one of them now, part of the monster that had hunted us. I could feel its hunger, its rage coursing through my veins. I tried to scream, but all that came out was a low, guttural growl. And then I realized, I was still in the forest, still trapped in that nightmare. But now I was the hunter, and I was hungry.